Graniteville, South Carolina, a small town once home to one of the most largest denim manufacturers in the United States, owned by Avondale Mills. It's one of those towns where not much really happens, but on this day, that would change forever.
On January 5th, 2005, a Norfolk Southern Local P-22 was parked in a siding near Avondale Mills. The train consisted of one locomotive and two boxcars, which was 4622 as power. The train crew had done its daily job and contacted the local train dispatcher, but also that they weren't going to depart until they were going to depart for the night, which a train was going to pass by, which was NS Manifest 192, consisted of SD 60 6653, alongside with 6593, carrying 17 empty cars and 25 loaded cars, including tanker cars filled with chlorine and other dangerous hazardous materials. NS Manifest 192 approached Graniteville at 2:38 a.m. on January 6, 2005. The switch that P-22 used to get into the siding should have been actually set for the main track for 192 to pass through.
This was under the responsibility of the brakeman of P-22. However, it was actually still set for the siding that P-22 was sitting in.
192 rounded the curve, but it was already too late. 192 slammed into P-22, causing most of its freight cars to derail, and worse.
911, where's your emergency?
Hey, I work at data processing in Graniteville.
Okay.
I think there's been a train wreck.
911, where's your emergency?
Something has happened to the train down here, and there's a strong odor coming from it. This man's running down the sidewalk down there hollering, help, help, help. We've come back in the house because we don't know what the fumes are.
Okay, we'll get an ambulance and a fire out there, okay?
I'm blowing off all over the town down here.
Can you see what it is?
I'm fixing to walk down there and see this,
That strong smell?
I can smell something, but man, it's low to the ground and it's a fog.
911, where's your emergency?
Something's wrong with the train. One of the cars, I don't know what's happened, but it's letting out some kind of bleach-smelling gas.
911, where's your emergency?
The train just derailed, there's chemicals all in it. I don't know what kind of chemicals it is.
Hello? Are you there?
The two trains collide head-on with another at 2:39 a.m., denting the noses from 192's lead engines, alongside with derailing 192's freight cars, derailing one of P-22's freight cars.
But the collision ruptured one tank car that was filled with chlorine gas, releasing a toxic cloud which quickly caused locals and the train crew to be gasping for air, much like World War I soldiers did 100 years ago. 5,400 residents within 1 mile of the crash site were forced to evacuate for nearly 2 weeks, while hazmat teams rushed to the scene to decontaminate the area.
9 people lost their lives, including the engineer of 192, who later died at hospital.
At least 250 people were taken to hospital for chlorine exposure as well. NTSB crew immediately interviewed the surviving crew members of both trains, including the brakeman of P-22. In one interview, he later told the NTSB he wasn't 100% sure if the switch was correctly aligned, and also said he might have made a mistake. NTSB investigators decided to find out for themselves. It wasn't long until they found what they were looking for. The switch was indeed not aligned correctly, and the little mistake the brakeman made cost 9 people their lives. Contributing to the failure was the absence of any feature or mechanism that would have reminded the crew members of the switch position, and thus would have prompted them to complete this very final critical task before departing the worksite. These little factors had huge implications and huge consequences.
In the end, all 3 units were taken to Altoona,
where 6593 was scrapped
6653 was rebuilt into Norfolk Southern 6900, still on operation today.
And 4622 was repaired and renumbered to 4636, and then was rebuilt into a GP59E, renumbered again to 4652, and is also still in operation today. Avondale Mills, though, filed suit against Norfolk Southern, claiming that the railroad was negligent in its operations through Graniteville, and that this alleged negligence was the root cause of the accident. After the incident, Avondale Mills was closed, laying off thousands of employees and paid more than $140 million on cleanup and repair expenses. The trial opened on March 10, 2008 in federal court in Columbia, South Carolina. On March 10, 2010, Norfolk Southern agreed to pay $4 million in penalty to resolve the alleged violations of the Clean Water Act and hazardous material laws, thanks to the chlorine release and diesel fuel leakage from the derailed locomotives.
They also had to stop near Langley Pond, where at least 3,000 fish to replace the ones killed from the chlorine spill.
Furthermore, the settlement included a supplemental environmental project valued at $100,000 to plant vegetation along the banks of Horse Creek to decrease erosion and sedimentation, thereby improving water quality in Horse Creek.
21 years had passed since the accident. People of Graniteville, South Carolina, knows what happened in their town on the exact day. That people will not forget the worst accident in South Carolina history. But that wasn't the only Norfolk Southern accident. In East Palestine, Ohio, a Norfolk Southern derailed, causing a huge blaze all over town. But most people thought this could be over of Norfolk Southern.